What's good, world? Welcome back to Spill the Real, where industry smoke gets cleared and the truth doesn't need permission, right here on SugarWaterRadio. Today's deep dive is not entertainment, it's not gossip, and it is definitely not clickbait. What's about to hit hip-hop is bigger than headlines, bigger than one name, and way bigger than what social media is ready for. For years, the culture has whispered about power moves happening in the dark, backroom deals, silence bought with money, careers protected while others were buried. And now, well, the walls are cracking. What's coming next could shake the entire foundation of hip-hop, from executives to artists, from gatekeepers to media platforms that look the other way. This isn't about picking sides. This is about exposing systems. This is about asking why some stories explode, while others get buried on purpose. If you ever wondered who really controls hip-hop, this is for you. If you've ever felt like the culture gets used, drained, and discarded, this is for you. And if you think you've already heard the worst, you haven't. This is Spill the Real, where we don't chase clout, we chase clarity. Lock in, turn it up, and listen closely. Because once this truth drops, there's no unhearing it. Let's get into it.
It is good to be back. And wow, that intro, it feels heavy today.
It is heavy because you can feel it in the air.
Yeah.
We're sitting here, it's January 2026, and the tension in the industry is just, it's thick. You can almost feel it.
You really can. It's this post-scandal hangover that never seems to end. I mean, we're more than 2 years removed from hip-hop's 50th anniversary.
Which was supposed to be this huge golden celebration, a victory lap for the culture.
Right. And instead of a party, we got a reckoning. The whole Sean Diddy Combs situation completely overshadowed everything. It didn't just spoil the celebration. It felt like it flipped on all the lights in a room nobody was supposed to see into.
A crime scene is what it felt like. And I think you're right. Historians are going to look back and see a clear line before Diddy's fall and after. It just broke something.
It was a rupture, absolutely. Yeah. But here's the mistake that I think a lot of people are making, and it's the mistake the industry is counting on. They want you to think that was the grand finale.
The end of the movie. We caught the big bad, roll the credits.
Exactly. We see these things as isolated incidents, a lightning strike. But that's rarely how it works. That was just the first domino.
And looking at the source material you brought in, specifically this piece from Rob Shooter's Substack, it doesn't look like the end of the movie at all. It looks like the opening scene.
It feels like the opening scene of a much bigger, much darker story. And, you know, Shooter's been around. He's a veteran entertainment journalist. He knows the difference between smoke and fire.
So when he drops a blind item, it's not just for clicks. It's a signal flare.
It is. And this one is dated December 9th, 2025, so it's very recent. But the claim he makes right in the headline is what stops you in your tracks. He says the story that's coming is bigger than Diddy.
See, that's where I immediately get skeptical. I mean, come on. Bigger than Diddy. We are talking about federal agents raiding mansions, allegations of trafficking, racketeering. I mean, how do you even get bigger than that? It sounds like hyperbole.
And that's the natural reaction. I had the same one because bigger is such a loaded word, but you have to dig into how he defines bigger. It's not necessarily about the body count or even the specifics of the violence, although what's described is horrifying. It's bigger in terms of the betrayal.
The shock to the system.
Precisely. By the time the Diddy story fully broke, let's be honest, the whispers had been around for decades. The brand was bad boy. It was literally in the name.
Right. So it was shocking, but it wasn't surprising. That makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. This blind item describes something fundamentally different. It's about a character we trust. The subject is an A-list male rapper.
And not a legacy act.
Not at all. He's active. His music is widely streamed. He is, and this is the key, currently profitable. This is someone who is probably on your workout playlist right now.
That part is so important. Active and profitable means he has a whole infrastructure around him, a whole economy. Agents, publicists, label execs. Everyone is eating off his success today.
And they all have a mortgage to pay. They have a vested interest in keeping that gravy train on the tracks. But let's get into the language Shooter uses because it's very specific. He talks about freak-offs.
Borrowing the Diddy term.
Right. But he says they're constant. And the descriptions from his sources are chilling. They use words like vile, downright horrifying, and manipulation.
There was one line in there that just stuck with me. A source said, and I'm quoting, "What he's done behind closed doors is vile. Not what fans think. Not even close."
Not even close.
That phrase. It implies the public persona isn't just a slightly cleaned up version of the real person. It's a complete fabrication. a polar opposite.
And that leads to the timing of it all. Shooter says this is countdown territory. He's not just reporting on a rumor that might bubble up in a few years. He's talking about multiple women who are, quote, terrified but are preparing to come forward.
So the legal teams are already involved.
The machinery is in motion. When an insider journalist uses a phrase like countdown territory, it usually means one thing. The settlement talks have failed. The NDAs are being challenged, the story is about to break, and the powers that be can't contain it anymore.
It's a ticking clock.
Mm-hmm.
But the part of this we really need to unpack is the profile. Because as you said, the bigger than Diddy claim isn't about the crime itself, it's about the who. And the core of that is what Shooter calls a polished public image.
This is the absolute crux of it, the polished image. Think about the archetypes in hip-hop. You've got the street hustler, you've got the conscious poet, the party starter, and then you have the adult in the room.
The safe one. The guy you can put on the cover of Forbes. The guy brands aren't afraid to work with.
The guy you'd let your kids listen to. And Shooter's source material actually lists some names, not as suspects, but as examples of this type of image.
And we have to be super clear here. These are archetypes. The report is not accusing any of these men.
Cannot stress that enough. Do not clip this out of context. The names mentioned are common. Will Smith, Kendrick Lamar, and Ludacris. They are used to paint a picture of the kind of public persona we're talking about.
Okay, so let's stay common. Invited to the Obama White House, he projects this image of intellectual calm, of mindfulness, of being thoughtful.
Right. If you heard a horrific story about Common, your brain would almost short circuit. It doesn't compute. It's cognitive dissonance. The brand is built on safety and respect.
And Will Smith, before the Oscar slap, obviously, was the biggest, friendliest movie star on the planet. For 30 years.
Yeah.
Mr. 4th of July, the goodwill was astronomical.
Decades of it. Or look at Ludacris. He's in the Fast and Furious franchise, a global blockbuster. He has a children's show on Netflix called Karma's World.
He's literally making content for kids.
He's a family-friendly corporate entity. And then you have the archetype of the moral compass, like a Kendrick Lamar. His music is revered for its lyrical depth, its exploration of trauma, its social commentary.
We just assume that because the art is moral, the artist must be too.
We project the integrity of the art onto the person. But what this blind item is essentially screaming at us is, public virtue has never guaranteed private behavior. It's a brutal truth.
It's a tough pill for fans to swallow. I mean, you listen to someone's music, it gets you through tough times, you feel a connection. You don't want to believe that the person who wrote those words is capable of what's being described here.
But that's the point, isn't it? The clean image is the ultimate camouflage. It's the perfect disguise. If you're a known wild boy, a rock star, everyone's watching you. Security is on alert. The handlers are nervous.
The tabloids are waiting for you to slip up.
Exactly. But if you're the nice guy, the smart one, the conscious one, nobody's checking your bag at the door. You get the benefit of the doubt. And that benefit of the doubt is the space where you can build systems, an infrastructure for darkness that the bad boys could never get away with.
You keep using that word infrastructure. And that's where this story really pivots for me. It stops being about one guy's bad behavior and becomes something much more organized. And the source material makes a comparison that I never would have expected.
It's a left turn, for sure.
It compares this developing hip-hop scandal to the Abercrombie & Fitch CEO, the Mike Jeffries scandal.
Yeah. And that's not a casual comparison. The source is using it as a specific blueprint.
I know the basics of that story. The exclusionary marketing, the six-pack abs on the shopping bags. But the report seems to be pointing at something way beyond just problematic branding.
Oh, it's so much deeper. It points to the operation. For anyone who isn't familiar with the depths of the Mike Jeffries case, it wasn't just a CEO with a preference for young male models. That's the sanitized version. The reality was he allegedly built a corporate-funded machine to systematically procure them. The source calls it a model for pure evil and elaborate planning.
So break that down. Elaborate planning. What does that mean in practice? When I think of a freak-off, I picture a chaotic, spontaneous party. This sounds like a business plan.
It's the difference between a riot and a military operation. In the Jeffries case, there were allegations of a literal handbook for the flight crew on his private jet, detailing what the models had to wear, how they had to serve him. But the truly sinister part The part this source is focusing on was the recruitment system.
Headhunters for victims.
Essentially. They had recruiters whose job was to find young men fitting a very specific mold. But the most chilling detail the source brings up is the idea of the fake store.
A fake store? What does that even mean?
It means they would allegedly set up entire fake retail environments, often overseas. They would hire actors to pose as employees. They would bring in these young models under the pretense that they were being trained for a legitimate job at Abercrombie & Fitch.
No. So these guys thought they were showing up for their first day of work.
They thought they were on a career path, getting their big break with a huge American company, but the entire thing was a stage, a set piece. And allegedly, Jeffries and his partner would be watching from behind the scenes. It was an elaborate, funded, corporate-backed theater for their own voyeurism.
That's good. That's beyond predatory. That's sociopathy. It's like something out of a movie.
It is the industrialization of abuse.
Right.
And that is the parallel the source is drawing to this hip-hop blind item. If these allegations hold water, we are not talking about a rapper who gets too high at a party and makes a terrible mistake.
We're talking about an A-list star using their tour logistics, their budget, their staff, their entire corporate machine to create their own version of a fake store.
Exactly. So let's just game that out for a second. What does a fake store look like in the music industry?
Okay, so maybe you're a young aspiring singer or a dancer or a songwriter. You get an email.
A legit-looking email.
Right. From a real company. It says, hey, A-list rapper is holding a private writing camp in Miami for his new album. Or we're casting for a high-budget music video shooting in Dubai.
The flight is booked for you. The hotel is a 5-star resort. A car service picks you up. Everything looks and feels completely professional. Above board.
Because the rapper himself is polished. He's a businessman. He's not some messy, chaotic figure. So your guard is down. You trust the process.
You trust the brand. And then you get there, you're inside the mansion or the hotel suite, and the dynamic shifts. The doors are locked. The phones are collected. And the work you were there to do suddenly turns into the vile and horrifying behavior the source describes. The opportunity was the bait. The fake store was the promise of a career.
And to pull that off, you need a whole team. You need the assistant who books the flights knowing the real reason. You need the lawyer who drafts the ironclad NDAs. You need the security guards who take the phones.
That is the infrastructure of silence. It's not one man's secret. It is a conspiracy of complicity. It's an entire payroll of people who punch the clock, facilitate this, and then go home to their own families.
Which brings us to the line in the report that just hits like a sledgehammer. The industry already knows.
It's the silent part that everyone's afraid to say out loud. You cannot run an operation of this scale for this long in a vacuum. It's impossible. People know, managers know, agents know, label executives know. They've been settling these cases quietly for years.
So walk me through the math on that. I know the answer is money, but it's still hard to wrap my head around. If you're a powerful executive and you know your number one artist is a monster, why protect him? Why not just cut him loose?
Because in 2026, an A-list rapper isn't just an artist. They are a multinational corporation. It's not just about the streaming pennies. It's the 9-figure touring deal with Live Nation. It's the sneaker deal with Nike. It's the branding partnership with Pepsi. It's the movie roles.
He's a walking GDP.
He's a blue chip stock. If you expose him, you don't just lose an artist. The entire stock plummets. Hundreds of people lose their jobs. The label's quarterly earnings collapse. So from a purely cynical corporate perspective, it makes more financial sense to quietly pay a victim a $5 million settlement every year than it does to lose a $500 million asset.
So the payoffs are just a business expense. They're baked into the budget, like catering.
It's the cost of doing business. Amortized silence. It's a line item in the P&L. And for decades, that system worked. It was foolproof. The power imbalance was too great. The star had the billion-dollar law firm. The victim had nothing. The star had the media on payroll. The victim had no platform.
The old playbook was crush them, pay them, or scare them into silence.
Simple and effective. But the source here, and what we're seeing across the board,